In this chapter, Introduction to Sketching, we will learn how to make a sketch in SolidWorks. We will also go through the procedure of adding dimensions and relations to sketches in SolidWorks. To open a new part file in SolidWorks, we click on the new icon on the standard toolbar. Select the part template and click on OK. We now get the basic work interface for SolidWorks. Let us go ahead and understand how we make sketches in the SolidWorks software. To start with the sketch, you need to select the sketch command from the sketch toolbar. When you click on the sketch command, the software highlights the three planes, the front plane, the top reference plane, and the right plane. We select the front plane to make our sketches on. Let us go ahead and make a rectangle. To make a rectangle, I select the corner rectangle command over here. Click on the origin on my screen and drag my mouse to get the other point of the rectangle. Using Smart Dimensioning feature in SolidWorks, we can dimension the length and the height of this rectangle. Let me make the length as 100 millimeters and the height as 50 millimeters. To dimension any sketch in SolidWorks, we use the Smart Dimensioning feature. The Smart Dimensioning feature has the capability of recognizing the lines and the associated dimensions in between them. Well, that means if I select a line, I get the length of the line, and if I select the two lines, it gives me the angle between them. So Smart Dimension has been given its name because it smartly recognizes the entities it needs to dimension. So you also notice the green icons on the rectangle. These are nothing but relations. Let us understand something more about relations. You can drag and select your sketch and hit the delete button on your keyboard to delete it. Let us go ahead and make two lines. You can add relations between different entities in a sketch. If I select the lines by using the Control key on my keyboard, you notice that I get different relations to be added on the left-hand Properties Manager. I can make them horizontal, I can make them vertical, or I can make them perpendicular as well. Let us make these lines parallel to one another. So I click on the parallel relation over here and it gets added on the screen. You notice that our lines are now parallel to one another. We can also make them equal. The equal relation gets added on the screen as well. What if I need to remove a relation? I just right click in the Properties Manager and delete that particular relation. You notice that our lines are now parallel, but they are not equal. What if I want to add the relations back again? I select the two lines by pressing the Control key on the keyboard. The Control key lets us select multiple entities available in your sketch in SolidWorks. We make them equal and accept it. You would now notice that both our lines are equal as well as parallel. Another way of deleting relations between entities: just select the relation on the graphical screen and hit the delete key on your keyboard, and you see that now the relations are broken. So now our lines are equal, but they are not parallel. What if I make a circle? To make a circle, I select the circle command on my command manager, hit the center as well as the radius. Now when I select the circle and a line, you would notice that I get a tangent relation. If I select a point on my line and another line, I get different options. Depending upon your selection on your sketch, the software smartly recognizes which relations would be possible under those selected conditions, and it would only highlight those relations in the Properties Manager. So we now know how to add dimensions and relations to different sketches in SolidWorks. Let us go ahead and understand the different states of sketches. There are three states of sketches in SolidWorks: the underdefined state, the fully defined state, and the overdefined state. At any given point of time, a sketch would lie in either of these three states. An underdefined sketch is that sketch which lacks certain essential dimensions. As you notice in the example of a rectangle over here, this rectangle does not have a length and a height dimension associated with it, so this sketch is underdefined. Underdefined sketches are represented in blue color in SolidWorks. When the rectangle is given a length and a height dimension, it becomes fully defined. Fully defined sketches are black in color. If we provide more than the required number of dimensions in SolidWorks, the sketch would become overdefined. In our case, we have given the length twice, once on the top and once at the bottom, so our sketch is now overdefined. Overdefined sketches are represented in SolidWorks in red color. Let us understand the different states of sketches in SolidWorks with making a new sketch. We make a rectangle and hit the zoom to fit icon to center it on our screen. You notice that the rectangle has two black lines and two blue lines. The black lines are situated at the origin. The coincident relation is added between them. On my status bar, it mentions that my sketch is underdefined. Let me add a length dimension as 100 and the height dimension as 50 to my sketch. Now you would notice that our sketch has turned black. The sketch is now fully defined. What if I try to add one more length dimension to my rectangle? If I try to add a length dimension to my rectangle, a box pops up mentioning if I want to make my dimension driving or driven. Driving dimensions are those dimensions that drive the sketch. If you edit these dimensions, it makes changes in the models. Driven dimensions are reference dimensions that are only available for reference. You cannot edit driven dimensions. You can have any number of driven dimensions in the sketch. The driving dimensions actually govern the states of the sketches. So if I keep this dimension as driven and select OK, you would notice that my sketch is still fully defined. And my new dimension that gets added on the top is light gray in color to notify us that it's a driven dimension. If I try to click on this dimension and edit it, it would give me a message that the value could not be changed. Let me delete this dimension and add it again. If I leave the dimension driving and click on OK, you would now notice that my sketch is overdefined. So I would actually need to go ahead and delete one of the length dimensions from my sketch. So I select this dimension and delete it. My sketch is now fully defined. Let us go ahead and understand a different example. What if I have a bit of a complex sketch like this one, and I need to fully define it? Do I need to click on Smart Dimension and go on giving the dimensions all over again? Not really. I have an option in SolidWorks wherein I can fully define my sketch. Just right click anywhere on your graphical screen and you will find the option Fully Defined Sketch. When I select Fully Defined Sketch and hit on the Calculate button which pops up, you would notice that the required number of dimensions are automatically added to the sketch to make it fully defined. If I add another dimension to my sketch, I get the pop-up box again where it mentions it if you would like to keep it as a reference dimension or a driving dimension. Let me leave it as a driving dimension. Now my sketch is overdefined. If my sketch is underdefined, I can simply make it fully defined with a right click. What if my sketch is overdefined? Is there an easy way out to make it fully defined again? Yes. Just click on the Overdefined tab on your status bar. It would automatically pop up the Sketch Expert icon. Hit on the Diagnose button and the software will tell you What are the possible solutions that are available to make the sketch fully defined? I have 3 solutions over here wherein it notifies me of the dimensions it would remove to make my sketch fully defined. I accept the first solution, green means good to go, and I click on the tick icon. My sketch is now fully defined. Once our model is ready, we can accept the sketch. Accepting the sketch brings us out of the 2D mode and takes us into the 3D mode of SolidWorks. We click on Features and click on the Extrude command to add thickness to our sketch. Let us add a thickness of 20 millimeters. You would notice that my 3D model is now ready. There are different ways to pan, zoom, and rotate the model in SolidWorks. You can either hit the right click on your keyboard, or you can use the keyboard and mouse shortcuts. The middle mouse button or the scroll button on your mouse would rotate the model. The scroll button on your mouse would zoom in and zoom out the model. Hitting the Control key on your keyboard and the middle mouse button would pan the model on the screen. Thank you for watching this video.